Well, hey there everybody, it's Snackbox coming to you from a sort of a cloudy, sunny, windy, beautiful, hot, kind of chilly day. It's a little bit of everything here in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's the perfect kind of day to come to you to talk to you about segment 16 of the Colorado Trail, because that, like today, is a little bit of everything. We've got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time. Let's get to it. Oh, it's so good once it hits your lips. So segment 16 of the Colorado Trail is about 15.2 miles. It goes up in elevation about 3,200 feet and down in elevation about 2,400 feet. It starts at the Marshall Pass trailhead, which, as you remember from my last video, has a bathroom at it, so that's good to know. It will end on Sergeant's Mesa. Now, this is a really interesting segment for a lot of different reasons, one of which is that there's not really a lot of defining characteristics that you'll think of looking back on the trail, where you'll think, oh yeah, that's where I saw that mountain peak, or that's where I saw that really beautiful lake. There's not a ton of that that's going to happen in this segment. Rather, this is actually a segment where my first tip is to start rethinking the way you understand segments altogether. In the previous segments leading up to this part of the trail, you've already hiked about 250, 260 miles of the Colorado Trail, and often when you get to the end of the segment, there'll be a highway there, or maybe there'll be a major road or a dirt road. There'll be something paved often in these different segments, but segment 16 is a place where quite a few of the following segments will end just in the middle of nowhere. It's Sergeant's Mesa in a nutshell. You will end at this one spot, and I'll show you a little clip of it here. You'll end in a segment where there's basically nothing. You could have somebody come down those forest roads to come bring you a resupply of some sort, but it'd be very difficult. So this is a great spot to start rethinking the whole approach to where you start and end segments. And that's going to be really important, as we're going to talk about here in a minute, because the water is going to be scarce throughout the next two segments. So what you're going to realize is that this segment only has two reliable sources of water. So there's almost guaranteed to be some spots where you're going to need to carry extra water, or maybe even consider dry camping. So this segment requires you to really start rethinking a lot of the approach to water, especially if you don't have this guy yet, the data book. You need to have this one, need to have it. So if you don't have the data book, which is not what I recommend, if you don't have the data book though, anytime throughout the next two segments where you stop to refill water, you want to start looking ahead and considering how far is it till the next water, because in the last few segments we've had sort of an abundance of water, more frequent water, especially if you were coming in from the collegiate east. So at this point, this is a great time to start thinking about planning your next water and making sure that you're ready to go for that. The next tip I have for you for this segment is all about that water and also rethinking where you're going to get that water. About 11 miles in, 11 and a half miles in, you're going to cross the Tank 7 Creek. This is the sort of spot where you pop over and there's a little bit of a valley, and it's real tight going through this valley area, and there's a little creek that runs through it that's reliable water at the Tank Creek 7. There's not a lot of campsites there. So if your plan is to stop there for the night, which is a good plan, you need to get there early and make sure that there's a spot for you, because a lot of times this will fill up with maybe 2 or 3 tents, and there's going to be sort of a bumper crop of thru hikers this year on the Colorado Trail. So you want to make sure you're planning to get there very early. For this year, in fact, I might consider not camping there and really think through a lot of places in segment 16 and 17 where I can dry camp and really go with some sort of lower water options for meal planning. So maybe what I'm going to do at this point is plan to take in some tortillas and some cheese and some salami. If you're vegetarian, you can take in something different, maybe some hummus for protein. Whatever your plan is, you want to keep in mind that there may not be a lot of water throughout this segment, and there may not be a lot of good camping near the water. So dry camping might be really essential at this point. It's not a super hard thing to do, especially if you plan. It's just one of those extra considerations that you need to have in mind as you move through this segment. And finally, as you finish this segment, I don't know if this is really a tip so much as sort of an encouragement. At the end of the segment, about 3/10 of a mile from the very end of the segment, there's a little bit of a side trip that you can take to visit the Soldier Stone, which is sort of a war memorial to soldiers from the Vietnam War and some other skirmishes in that area. And I would encourage you to stop off and see that. It's only about 3/10 of a mile off the trail. It's well worth the side trip. If you've been following along in the Colorado Trail Thru Hiker Facebook page, there are some really beautiful pictures one of the members in that community have put up of that Soldier Stone and that monument. This is a really good opportunity to just kind of reflect on how fortunate we are to be able to hike a trail like this, even in a year that's been so tumultuous as this one. So take a side trip, go visit that one. Last thing that I want to say about this segment is that it's a really good one for sort of acclimating yourself to what's to come, because there are some challenges, and mentally this one is one where you really want to make sure that you're staying in the game mentally. There are some beautiful views, but there are also some deceptively difficult climbs. For instance, when you're going up Sergeant's Mesa, the climb is not super steep, it's not super long either, but it's just going to sort of wear on you slow and slow. So if you're not paying attention to your mental state and how you're feeling about things, it can be sometimes kind of discouraging discouraging. Don't let that get to you, especially if you know that this is coming and that you need to stay ahead of it mentally. It's very easy to counter. A little bit of chocolate, you're fine. So just be mentally aware of that and get ready for segment 17. This is a point also that you need to really start thinking through how you're going to approach the next segment. And that one is really, really critical here because the next segment has even bigger stretches without water and some real considerations to watch out for moving through there as well. We'll get ready for segment 17. The good news with it is this is where you're going to be able to start crushing big miles. It's a great segment. You need to get excited about it. We got a pup over here I'm pretty happy about seeing. Hey pup, how you doing, brother? Cooper, how you doing, brother? Hey, what a good dog. Hey, Cooper. Yeah, I know it's going to be a good day. Sorry about that, everybody. Had to take care of that dog. It was in desperate need of some attention, and you know, it's just important to me that I give back to the community because I'm a good person and super humble. That covers it, everybody. I hope if this information was useful to you that you'll click like and subscribe. I'm really having a great time getting to know everybody, and I'm also really working hard to finish these up so that we can have all of the guides out. I know it takes a little while sometimes, but we're going to get there. It's all going to be good. I appreciate everybody there, and I hope in the comments below that you'll tell me a little bit about how you've approached sections of hiking without a lot of water. What are the tips and tricks you have for that? So as we look ahead, we can maybe gather the power of the community to figure out how we can tackle some of these segments with a little bit less water and resupply options throughout. Looking forward to it, everybody. Have a great day. Snackbox out. This is Snackbox with a real fact I just made up. Sasquatch is real, but he's been in hiding because he was body shamed for his hairy back.